Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe des E-Talk und ich habe heute ein Startinterview mit Core Mining. Ähm, Vielleicht kennen Sie die News schon, haben Sie schon ab und zu mal gesehen. Heute ist zwar nicht der beste Tag, ein Interview mit einem Goldstock zu machen, denn der Goldpreis ist, glaube ich, $80 oder sowas eingebrochen. Also, ja, da geht es richtig zur Sache. Aber ich bin gespannt. Core hat einen sehr, sehr interessanten Chart. Und wer weiß, vielleicht gibt es ja da ein paar interessante Punkte, von denen wir uns ja, neue Infos kriegen. Scott, thank you for your time. It's our first interview, and maybe it's not the best day to have this interview. Then the gold price is going down $80. It's that's that's yeah. It's then I must really
It's
say
it,
it's
it, it, it's an opportunity. We are all a slave. We're all a slave to the commodity in this business, but
yeah.
there's opportunities.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
really surprised that we break this 1860, 1840. It was really a great breakout what we have in 2 months ago. It was really stable, but the Fed don't like this. It looks like so. Also, the dollar is strong, and always when the dollar is strong, gold going weaker. So, do you have a personal feeling what the gold price or to the gold price?
I'm trying to build a gold business over a period of time. So my macro thesis is simply that we're at the right time in the economic cycle for gold to see to attract capital, particularly for small cap mining companies, like my company Core. But and as I think the gold price is likely. I don't see why it's not going to go to 2000 on some run here in the near term. When that is, if I could predict that, I wouldn't be the CEO of a mining company. I'd be trading the physical. But I'm bullish on the right. We're in the right part of the cycle for gold to attract capital to build companies, and we can see what happened in it was about May to August of last year. Suddenly you had this like big burst of, share price appreciation that you can get when, capital pays attention to gold. And I think
That's a good
I'm
point.
expecting to see another one of those in the near term here.
When we look at your share price, especially in this time frame last year, from March, I would say under 20 cents, then you're going up to $2. So that's mean you have 10 times a really great, nice run. Was this only the gold price, or you coming up also with very good news also?
For sure, it was both. Core. I joined Core just over 2 years ago, and it's a startup, so it's not like we were a dormant company waiting for the gold price to come back into existence. We were brand new in the market, so we attracted seed investments from Erik Sprott. We were building out a portfolio of assets. We were doing land deals. We were drilling in our assets in British Columbia, Canada. So yeah, we were also accomplishing a lot on the ground, which is important. And what you want in a small cap, gold equity is a company that can generate news flow when the time is right, because exactly to that point, if you're advancing your business and putting out news flow and creating that marginal share price, you're going to see that get magnified when the market's good. So, part of that was Core coming off of, it IPO'd as a company in late 2018 in a really bad market and was kind of stuck in that 10 to 30 cent range until some capital came into the gold sector. And then suddenly, like I said, we saw it run to almost $2, and since pull back into the 80s and 90s. I don't know where we are today, probably in the high 70s. And that's what you want to see in these equities, right? That is the opportunity. So yeah,
So,
I'm waiting for the next one so we can go to $3.
yeah, that's the point. So when
Yes.
is now the time right to come back or make your first investment in coal mining? And so what we can expect. Before we go, what we can expect really, let us talk a little bit more about the project. What are the core projects from your company? Where are they based? And So what you're doing so far in this project or on this project?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So the fundamental, metrics of Core has 3.9 million ounces of gold resources in two projects. Both projects are in California in the Great Basin area gold belts of the United States, which include Nevada, Idaho, Arizona, and California. Those projects are simple heap leach gold projects. They were drilled by major companies in the 1990s. And when gold price was $200 to $300 an ounce and California passed stringent environmental standards, the gold miners went to Nevada and focused on Nevada for the last 25 years. More recently, over the last 10 years, you've seen, 3 new mines go into production in California, which are reviving these old gold deposits that can now live to these high environmental standards because, the gold price is now over $1,000 an ounce. And when it's at 2,000, these are suddenly looking like amazing projects again. So Core was lucky to be able to buy these in the depths of despair in the gold market in 2017, went public in late 18 and attracted 3 investments from Erik Sprott in 2019 and 2020 to start working those assets. And we're currently hopefully in the end game of permitting 2 large drill programs at each asset. So 2021 should be about drilling and growing those assets. We completed economic assessments last year, so there's lots of fundamental data, resources in the ground, NPVs that you can define value of Core.
I have now your presentation on the screen, and it says that Erik Sprott has around 26%. That's a really huge portion, and the management have 38%. That's really unusual, I must say. That 2 groups has close 2/3 of a company. So that's surprised me. And the market cap is only 85 million. But this was per share price of 80 cents today, or now we are on the 70s, so it's a little bit lower. That's from the.
But yeah, I mean that reflects the very young nature of the equity. We haven't raised capital for 10 years in the company and diluted down those, effectively founding shareholder positions. Erik put his money in 3 times. I don't know, 35 cents, 75 cents, and $1. That's kind of his buy-in prices. He's put in $12 million. He helped us basically put the projects together. So we started with just having the resources and the claims and the rights around the resources. We used Erik's money to expand our ownership to large exploration areas around the project, to build out our team, to drill and define some great assets we have in British Columbia, which we spun out at the end of last year. So they're now part of a new company called Caris Gold that's going public in the near term here. And anybody who was a Core shareholder through that is also will be a shareholder of that Caris company. So I think we're showing and demonstrating to long-term shareholders that we're going to continue to aggressively create value, but we're just in the later stages of closing an $8 million financing here that will put some more cash in the company and open up that share register to a few new investors and start to dilute down management. Although I believe Erik has participated pro forma, so he's chosen to maintain his 26%.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I've been on the slide with the PEAs of both projects. That's very good numbers, I must say. So you're well under 1,000 from all-in sustaining cost. So, but what do you really plan now? So what we can expect as a shareholder from in the next 6 months from the news flow?
Yes, absolutely. So absolutely, it's all about getting out and drilling on both projects. So we're currently in the later stages of permitting a drill program at the Long Valley project. There we want to go out and, because we think the opportunity is there, and step out from the known resources that back that PEA and grow the resources. You would then do a season of drilling to define resources, and eventually you would expect to do an updated PEA at some point down the track to, if you're successful discovering more gold, to show that it's even bigger and better project, even though it's got great economics where it is. We want to add more gold ounces to the plan to really put it on the radar for mid-tier gold miners. Right now it's only about 1 million ounces of gold produced in that mine plan, and we think there's the potential to make that significantly larger, and we can only do that with drilling. So we're expecting drill permits here this summer, and to be able to drill and try and discover some more gold in that project later in the year.
You can work the whole year?
At Long Valley, we could, although there is snow at this project. It's kind of on the edge of the Walker Lane trend around Reno, Nevada. So it does get cold in the winter. So we would prefer to drill from July to November. If you were at a big program in the future, you could drill all year. But I think to keep the roads and keep the cost down, we would only drill in the summer season likely.
Do you have any plans so far, how much meters you will drill and how deep you normally drill?
Yeah, so the Long Valley deposit is basically right at the surface. It's very shallow. The historic resource was only drilled to 60 meters of depth. That's very shallow. Literally, it's a thin veneer of gold mineralization over top, because that's really the only part of the deposit that's been oxidized where you can heap leach the material. We also believe there's potential for sulfides underneath that. So we will be testing some of those targets also with our drill program. So we're going to be drilling, if we're drilling the oxides, we're only drilling 100-meter holes. So they're very low cost holes, but we do want to run a couple 300 and 400-meter holes down deep and see what the sulfides underneath that deposit might look like. So we will be drilling a couple longer holes this year. With the drill pads we're currently permitting, we could do up to 15,000 meters. We don't have the capital in the company to do that right now. So we would start with a 5,000 meter program and look to raise capital on successful results.
You say that you only look now for the oxidized portion, so only for heap leach. So that is also by your second project, it's only the heap leach time. Do you have a geophysic where you can look a little bit deeper so that it's support your theory about the sulfide ore bodies?
Yes. So at Long Valley, we have targeted the sulfides using ground geophysics. So we did an IP geophysics survey in, I think, early 2020 to try and look to see what it could show about where the feeder structures might be. We've also got evidence from the bottom of all the historic drilling, because a lot of the historic drilling bottomed in pretty good grade sulfides. Like you'll be at the bottom of a drill hole, 90 meters down, that's in 3 grams of sulfide. But the previous operator stopped drilling because Royal Gold only cared about oxides in the 1990s, because gold was $300 an ounce. And, they didn't care about geology. They didn't care about structure. They just pattern drilled known resources to define oxide. So we're getting a little more scientific with the geology. And you're right, geophysics is a good tool for looking deep. So we know where to drill to best we can. It's a matter of, the exploration risk of testing what's down there. But I think we got a good shot.
What is the average grade in the project, in the Long Valley?
Long Valley's 0.65 grams per ton in the oxides.
Okay. Do you have any byproduct also, or only strictly gold?
So unfortunately, because of that low gold price environment, gold companies, when they explored in the 1990s, only fire assayed for gold. They didn't even assay for silver because they didn't care.
Okay.
However, when you look at the metallurgical testing, so they did do metallurgical testing where they took the samples right through to doré. There was 4-to-1 silver. So 4-to-1, like silver to gold in the doré. So there's silver in the ore body, but it's never been assayed. So we would have to do a significant amount of re-drilling of the deposit to put that into the resources. If you did some math, that could potentially be a 5-10% revenue kicker in the doré, if you believe those met results. But it's not currently in the resources, and we don't know. But there certainly is a silver potential as a byproduct at the project.
It's not bad. Then maybe when you come to financing, you have a little bit more extra credit or you can get, I don't know, royalty stream out of it and so on. It's not bad.
Yes, in moving to production, we would like to define that silver potential and would need to do a significant amount of drilling to do so. Yeah.
That's a good point. What is really the goal of the company? To bring this project into a production or bring it to a certain stage that other companies coming in and take it over?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Long Valley is a fairly early stage project. I'd say the strategy of the company is really based around Imperial. So Imperial was also drilled in the 1990s. It is a 100% oxide, metallurgically very simple, also open to some resource growth near the deposit. But really at Imperial, we've got a 28-kilometer claim area, which is a big area. That's a whole gold belt. We think we got a good chance of defining a whole gold camp. And I think that will attract the interest of mid-tier miners. That said, I and the rest of the management and board are a strong believer that you have to build a company, particularly if you're proposing to build a mine in someone's community, right? You got to be on the ground and do it right and configure yourself like you're going to build the mine. So we hired a chief operating officer named Mark Leduc. Mark is, in his late 50s. He spent his entire career building heap leach mines around the world. His most recent project was the Castle Mountain Gold Mine in California, which is in San Bernardino County, California, now owned by Equinox Gold. And he took that project from a resource through the engineering and permitting, and the company Newcastle Gold was taken over by Equinox in 2018. So I think if you do it right on the ground and you attract a takeover, that's great for shareholders. And if the company comes out the back end being a producing gold company, then, current management will probably no longer be part of the company because it will mature over time as you head towards being a producer. So I think either way, there's a path to shareholder value. But for sure, we're not just waving around our arms going, hey, come and buy us. And, that's not how to, you got to be on the ground. You got to prove to a potential acquirer that you're going into production and you're doing it right yourself. So I think the two strategies actually are the same. If you want to attract that takeover, you got to be doing it right and moving towards production. That's the only way someone's going to buy your project.
Okay. Come to the Imperial project before we talk more about Long Valley. So what are your plans here? Do you also plan drilling, expand the resource?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we are permitting a large drill program for Imperial as well. It includes, I think we've got something in the neighborhood of 168 drill pads in that permit application. We're currently working through that with the Bureau of Land Management. That's the federal agency in the United States that owns the land. And that we could support 60,000 meters of drilling on all of those pads because it's a lot of capacity. Those pads include exploration targets, trying to make greenfield discoveries on that 28-kilometer district belt. It also includes drill pads over the known deposit so that we can complete all of the drilling to do a feasibility study on the project and move that mine towards production. So in the near term, this year in 2021, I would expect to see from Core a drill permit, followed by a starter drill program, because we don't have the capital to drill 60,000 meters right now. We would go out and do $1 million program to show that we can deliver results, and then build and raise more capital on success. And as we would like, if we had our druthers, we would raise enough capital to drill across a lot of those drill pads over the next 18 months, develop all the technical data required to then complete a feasibility study on the project, and set ourselves up to be able to consider financing options, as we start moving through the mine permitting process over the course of 2022.
So that's mean this whole program is planned so far for the next 18 months, so that you're coming up when you can make a financing and so on, that you drill out, or not drill out is not the right word. I don't know. I know that's not the right word, but you drill that you can maybe come up with a feasibility study then, and this brings you the opportunity that how you finance this, or you see more how do you finance this.
Yeah, correct. That's the long-term objective of the drilling. It will take us to and give us all of the technical data we need to complete a feasibility study in the project. Now, given the timeline we're talking about for drilling, we couldn't even start that study until late 22 or 23. So we do have that long-term vision to getting the project towards production. In the near term, the first drill pads we're going to hit when we get that permit are going to be the exploration targets, because we would like to make some new discoveries and just show people that this is a productive gold belt around the main project, to create that blue sky upside, to create that excitement, and hopefully develop some news flow to continue to capitalize the company.
Do you have nearly the same grades in Imperial than in Long Valley? From
almost exactly the same. Yep.
Okay.
Now it's the metallurgy is simpler at Imperial. Imperial, we've scoped in the PEA what's called a run of mine heap leach, which means that you drill and blast in the pit, you stack the material directly on the heap leach pad and extract gold. There's no crushing, no grinding, so it makes it very simple technically and low capital intensity to build as scoped in the PEA. So 0.6 grams per ton doesn't sound like a lot of grade, but they would fall all over themselves in Nevada to get that kind of grade in an oxide run of mine heap leach. So just to give you just to put it in context for your listeners, at the Mesquite mine, so there is an operating heap leach gold mine 9 miles down the road from our project in Imperial County, California. They are processing between 0.3 and 0.4 grams per ton at a $950 all-in sustaining cost.
Yeah, that's very good numbers. Do you have also the potential, not only for new discovery, also to going deeper to a sulfide body, or is there
no? At Imperial, there are no sulfides.
Okay.
Which is good, because you don't have to worry about the environmental issues of acid mine drainage and the ramifications of having sulfides. It is right now a 100% oxide deposit. However, at the Mesquite deposit down the road, they did eventually work through oxides and get into sulfides underneath. It could be our deposit is potentially faulted off of its sulfide roots, and that would be one thing we're exploring for. But as of right now, it's only an oxide gold deposit.
Okay, so come now to one of my last question is that the news flow, what we can expect is now drill results. Is it right?
Correct. Yep.
So that was a simple thing. So, but before we get the permitting, for sure that you can do it.
Yes, correct. Yeah, exactly. We need permits to do that drilling. So expecting the Long Valley permit first, the Imperial permit second, and to use the capital we have to do small programs at each of those assets to start generating those results. If we're successful and we get another one of these good runs in the market, we'd raise more capital to either put more drills on the projects, extend the programs. We have that capacity being permitted. So we've got the flexibility, I think, to ramp up the news flow and drilling in the company when the gold markets, as we've speculated at the beginning of this call, hopefully return to a robust state.
But you have already 8 million cash on hand.
Correct. That's with our financing closing tomorrow. That'll be about our working capital. So we've got lots of capital to keep the business running for this year. We've been pretty tight with the capital, because as you know, we're big shareholders. So those are my dollars also being spent on the ground. So we run the company pretty cheap, other than doing it right on the ground at the project level.
No, that's really the beauty on this kind of companies, when 2/3 are really in closed hand, that they are normally looking more to get more value for the dollar what they spend.
Yeah, exactly. It cuts both ways. So we've got a lot of stock with management and Erik. It also makes the trading on the what is in the public float fairly thin. And I know that volatility, though, I think is an opportunity. The share price, as you can see from the chart, it can go up really fast, and it can go down. And I think that's the risk and reward of these small cap gold stocks like Core.
Yeah, I think all stocks in the stock market are risky. So there is no unrisky stock around. If I don't know someone, so if you please tell me after.
We're not.
The interview.
We're not. I don't even know what a blue chip stock is these days. But
well, I think there is no longer blue chip stocks. They have all their issues or risk. So
yeah, exactly. You get these.
Scott, thank you for your time for the first interview what we have, and hopefully you're coming up with really good drill results. Then hopefully we can do another round in maybe 3 to 6 months.
Absolutely. I'd love to be talking to you about success here in a few months when we get on the ground. So
and hopefully then a much higher share price.
Yes,
Gold is over 2,000 and your share price is close to 3. That would be a great deal.
I like that vision. Thank you very much for your time.
Perfekt. Thank you. Ja, das war jetzt ein erstes Startinterview von Core Mining. Interessant, Kalifornien. Sie sind in Kalifornien, aber was wirklich interessant ist, das sieht man hier gleich auf dieser Grafik. Sie sehen, das Management hat 38%, Erik Sprott hat 26% der Firma. Das heißt, die beiden haben 2/3 der ganzen Firma. Das ist extrem untypisch für Explorationsstock. Marktkapitalisierung ist jetzt eigentlich nicht mehr 85, wir sind jetzt unter 80 Millionen, weil heute ein extrem schlechter Tag ist. Gold ist gerade auf 17,72 eingebrochen. Sie sind minus, glaube ich habe vorher gesehen, bei 70 Cent. Das heißt, es ist extrem billig. Sie machen gerade eine Finanzierung. Und was machen sie? Sie haben 2 Projekte. Sie haben in Summe 3,9 Millionen Unzen in diversen Ressourcenkategorien. Es ist extrem viel. Alles ist Heap Leach, ist Oxidmaterial, also oxidisches Material. Das wird quasi auf das Leachbett gelegt und nur gelaugt und ist dadurch auch leichter von der Permitting, weil es keine giftigen Chemikalien braucht wie beim Sulfide Ore Body. Imperial ist sogar noch einfacher. Das muss nicht einmal noch gemahlen werden, sondern das wird einfach gesprengt quasi und mit dem Bagger auf den Leachbed geschmissen und dort gelaugt. Das muss nicht einmal noch vorgemahlen werden, weil normalerweise schmeißt man das nur in eine Mühle rein, malt das durch und damit man es weniger, also feiner hat und dadurch wird das Leaching einfacher. Also extrem interessant. Gehalte sind um die 0,6, teilweise ein bisschen höher, aber ziemlich identisch. Das ist überhaupt kein Problem. Es gibt eine Mine in der Nähe ihrer Mine und das sieht man hier, glaube ich, auch sehr gut. Hier, ich glaube, das Projekt Heap Leach und das hat 0,3 bis 0,4. Also die 0,6, die schrecken mich nicht. Was planen Sie jetzt? Sie sind gerade im Genehmigungsprozess der Bohrgenehmigungen und wenn Sie das haben, wird gebohrt. Zuerst einmal in dem Startbohrprogramm und hoffentlich auch dann mit den guten Ergebnissen dann dementsprechend machen Sie einen Capital Raise und dann wollen Sie neue weiterbohren. Es gibt eine Drill Season dort quasi. Und is there also by Imperial a drill season, or can you drill this round the year?
You can drill all year round.
Okay, so in Long Valley you have this drill season. That's too cold, but in Imperial is all around here. So bei Imperial können Sie rund ums Jahr bohren. Bei Long Valley gibt es eine Drillsaison, weil dort wird es Winter tatsächlich, die haben dort Schnee und das ist einfach zu teuer dann zu bohren. Die müssen schauen, dass die Straßen dann alle funktionieren und so weiter. Das machen sie nicht, bohren sie einfach im Sommer. Und deswegen wollen sie natürlich jetzt auch noch bohren. Hier ist noch spannend, Sie haben hier ein paar Explorationstargets, die Sie bohren wollen, als erstes, damit Sie auch dem Markt zeigen können, welche Blue Sky Potenzial das Sie haben. Und mit dem hoffen Sie natürlich auch einen deutlich höheren Preis. Wir haben einen Aktienkurs momentan eben bei 71 Cent, der kommt runter, aber Sie sehen es auch, wie schnell es nach oben gehen kann. Wir waren bei 20 Cent im März letzten Jahres und sind dann auf über $2 gegangen. Das heißt, der 10-Bagger innerhalb von ein paar Monaten, das war eine richtig coole Sache und jetzt schön konsolidiert. vielleicht bildet sie es hier genau im Boden auf, und wenn die Boergebnisse kommen und der Goldpreis wieder steigen sollte, dann ist hier ein riesengroßes Potenzial. Ja, das war's von Core Mining am 17. Juni 2021. Und ja, viel Spaß und viel Erfolg bei den Investments, und wir hören uns in Kürze. Scott, thank you for your time. It was really a great interview, and good luck with all the trading.
Thank you, Joachim.